So let's get started by taking a look at a small script I wrote based on that script we had previously written where we turn on a light when we enter an invisible trigger collider. I'm basically using that same thing, except now I've also added turning on doors. And this is how I'm getting, if I jump back to Unity, when we walk into the escape room, these doors close, or, more accurately, they just become active. They're objects that already exist, and they're just ticked, not active in the editor. So that's all I'm doing here to close us in. And I'm also turning on a red light just for the sake of atmosphere. So yeah, that old script where we declared a public light variable called myLight, and then when we entered a trigger collider, if the collider's tag was player, then we enabled the light. Well, now I'm just adding two more variables, a public game object, the my door, and then another one, my door 2. And I add to this little curly brackets here, we're going to make my door set active true. So that's my door dot set active parentheses true and parentheses semicolon. And then the same thing again for my door 2. So just like the light on script that we had done before, this light on door close script that I've written just rolls in a couple more simple actions, I guess, into when we enter this collider, this trigger. So then inside room on the collider object, because we set those public variables, we'll have to set those up for this light on door close script to work. So I would put the red point light in as my light, and then door as my door, and door 1 as my door 2. And now that script will work when we walk into this collider, which of course needs to be set as a trigger on its box collider. So now I want to bring sound into it as well, because we would like to hear the sound of the door closing, and I also put on our background music like as soon as we entered and the doors closed. So in previous tutorials when we were making sort of our first 3D world, I had some audio, and I said putting on background music is just as easy as like dragging your audio file into your hierarchy, and it'll be set play on awake by default, so it'll just start playing as soon as your game starts. And if you want it as background music, you can turn it on loop, maybe turn the volume down a little bit, and that'd get you background music. But in this case, I don't want background music that plays as soon as the game starts. I want it when the doors close. So instead of doing it this way, what I'm going to do is delete the background music and attach it as an audio source to one of the doors. So the logic is this: the doors are not set active at the beginning of the game. And so even if the audio plays on awake, it's not awake yet because the object it's on is not active. So this won't play until this door becomes active. The door won't become active until we walk in that room. So, following that logic, this background music starts playing once we walk in that room. I actually have two doors, and that works well for me because I have two sounds I want to play. I not only want the background music, but I want the door slam. So I'm just going to throw that one on the other one. And it's also going to play on awake. The difference is because this is a sound effect, I don't want it to loop, whereas the background music, I'm okay with that looping. So far so good. The only other thing that I'd like us to prepare here, if you're following along exactly, is you'll notice there's some other features of audio sources that I've sort of skipped over. The next thing that I think we'll do is we might create a reverb zone inside this room to give it its own atmosphere, like an echoiness to the room. The background music, I think I want it to ignore the reverb zone, because background music usually isn't diegetic. It doesn't get affected by the world we're in, you know? So we're going to bypass reverb zones on the background music, but I'll leave the reverb zone active and have the reverb zone mix up at 1 for the door slam.